street protest that forced a president to flee. Will what's happened in Tunisia herald similar uprisings across the Arab world? This is Inside Story. Hello, welcome to the programme with me, David Foster. Talk about prophetic. Just 2 days ago here in Doha, I was sitting next to the US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton when she told the Arab world to change or be changed.
Corruption is a cancer, and it eats away not only at the heart of a country by depriving the people of access to resources that come from the sweat of the efforts of the people, but that it is short-sighted. You know, you can make a lot of money in a non-corrupt system if you are working hard, and that's what should be encouraged.
Go back to events that triggered the uprising in Tunisia. Mohamed Bouazizi, the 26-year-old unemployed graduate who'd been abused by the police, set fire to himself in a public square last month, and his story resonated far beyond his hometown. Arabs living under similar conditions identified with the young Tunisian because his problems, unemployment, corruption, autocracy, the absence of human rights, are their problems. Throughout the region, there is what some call a dignity deficit. They say many Arab men and women are watching unfolding events in Tunisia with envy for what they see as real hope for change. Meanwhile, Arab leaders watch events wary of their future, perhaps threatened by what may be coming next. Similar in many ways to Ben Ali, the now ex-president of Tunisia, they're often former army officers. They've made early unfulfilled promises, have been ruling for decades and have taken their countries down economically with rampant corruption. Similar too in that they run their countries with an iron fist, surrounded by an elite group controlling both the money and the political power. And what is more, in an age of globalization, these rulers can no longer cut their citizens off from news or from each other. The internet and social media have bypassed the constraints, and Arab media could sense their audience's thirst for news about Bouazizi's death and the extraordinary drama it triggered in Tunisia. Well, joining us now, our guests in London, we have the Tunisian academic Noureddin Beladi, lecturer of media and sociology at the University of Northampton. In Cairo, Abdullah Al-Ashal, professor of international law at the American University in the Egyptian capital. He was the assistant of the former Egyptian foreign minister. And in New York, John Enteles, professor of political science at Fordham University, editor-in-chief of the Journal of North African Studies. Let's begin with all three of you at once, if we may. One-word answer, starting first of all with London. Did you see this coming?
No.
Cairo?
No.
New York?
Yes.
OK, two no's. Now, this is very interesting. Let me talk to you, first of all, Noureddin, in London. Now, you were on our programme about a week ago, and you did say that it was encouraging what was happening. Is it the speed of what's happened that surprised you?
Yeah, I think what has been not anticipated by any sociologist or any politician or any other analyst was the dramatic speed of how events basically have come to a fold, with the complete kind of stepping down of President Ben Ali, and what has been also going on with regard to Mohamed Ghannouchi stepping in to put himself as the president, and then within few hours he also hand over the power to the Speaker of the Parliament. And I think this is what is very interesting.
Abdullah Al-Ashal in Cairo, get a no from you. Why do you think it wasn't possible to predict this?
When these events erupted in Tunisia, two factors had been introduced which hadn't been expected by anyone. The first is that we know how the dictatorial regime in Tunisia is confining everything in its own hand. And secondly, the reaction of the Arab street till now hadn't been expected to be very fast and very devastating and also very alarming.
John Enteles joining us from New York. I know you've lived in Tunisia, so tell me a little bit about why you did think this was predictable.
Well, for anyone who was studying Tunisia over these decades, it became very evident the increased tension and discontinuity between the state and civil society. The discontent had been mounting on many fronts, politically, economically, socially. The only question was going to be when and how, and that's always very difficult to determine. But all the preconditions necessary for a challenge to the regime were developing among a highly educated population that was increasingly being denied its political and social and economic rights. So the real paradox for most of us is why hadn't this happened earlier rather than that it would happen at all.
Could it have happened, let's say, in Algeria, where there were protests last month? Could it happen in other countries, such as Egypt?
Well, in fact, it did happen. In some ways, this situation resembles October 1988 in Algeria, when mass demonstrations led to the government having to concede its singular power by amending the constitution and allowing multi-party democratic elections to take place, in which an Islamic party won overwhelmingly both local municipal elections as later on parliamentary elections, but which led to a military coup. And that's maybe the model that one has to be concerned about. Does a popular uprising leading to a moment of democratic opportunity get confiscated by the military and those in power who are unwilling to accept the consequences of this democracy? Okay,
so let's go to Nuruddin Meladi and ask you about the worrying scenario as painted there by our guest in New York. An uprising is all very well, but you have to have something positive to make it a successful one as far as the people are concerned. Is that possible in Tunisia?
I think this is the worry for everyone, actually, is that these efforts that has been basically organized by excellent networks of young people, also academics and civil society organizations, can be hijacked by even the previous rulers of the RCD, the ruling regime. And I think what are the political basically powers are calling for now? I mean the opposition, the legitimate law opposition and opposition that is considered outlawed. What are they calling for is a government, a rule that encompasses everyone. Every citizen in the country is allowed to be a member of parliament. Every citizen in the country is should be allowed in the future to become a president, to become an MP, to become part of the ruling government. And I think this is what we are calling for. And there are lots of voices that are coming up now from lawyers, from academics, from ex-politicians and so forth. I think looking forward to a picture like this. That's why I think Mohammed Ghannouchi last night, when he placed himself as the next after Ben Ali, he didn't survive. He survived only for one night. And he realized that people are not going to believe what he is calling for. And people in the streets, what we read in the circulations of Facebook pages and Twitter feeds and so forth, I think testify that people are very much aware of the I shall call it the lies of the previous regime and the people who are remaining from the previous regime. That unless people take charge of their affairs and move forward towards a real democracy, real opening up of freedom of expression, political life and organization and so forth, we can't get anywhere.
We're looking at some extraordinary pictures on our screen here of the security forces embracing the protesters, most of whom happen to be particularly young. And I'd like to come back later in the programme to how it's all going to unfold in Tunisia in particular, but at the moment I'd like to broaden it out. And Abdullah Al-Ashal in Cairo, I think it's somewhere between half and 2/3 of the population of Middle Eastern and African countries is under 25. Many of them will be internet savvy, aware of all the social networking sites, seeing pictures on Facebook. Is it possible now in countries such as your own, Egypt, for the youths to see this and not do anything about it?